You're looking at quarterback Damon Allen, leader of the Ottawa Rough Rider attack, an attack that has produced 281 scoring points in the first 11 games. But only one of those games has resulted in an Ottawa victory. And today, Damon Allen faces a stiff test against the Saskatchewan defense. And here is Ken Austin, the people's choice at quarterback in Regina, and for the second week in a row, John Gregory's choice as well. Austin directs the Saskatchewan offense to an upset win over the Edmonton Eskimos last Sunday at Taylor Field. Today, he'll try and capitalize on Ottawa's young and inexperienced defense. Welcome to Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the CFL Report, live from the nation's capital. It's a glorious fall afternoon in Ottawa. The temperature is about 9 degrees Celsius, and there's a breeze coming out of the northwest that has things cooled down a little bit more than that. But all in all, it's a perfect afternoon for a football game. Hi, everybody. Peter Watts with you. We're delighted you could join us here in Ottawa today for this game. On paper, it looks like a mismatch. It certainly was at Taylor Field a couple of months back when these two teams met. 58-22, the final in favor of the Western Riders over the East. But these are two different football teams. Saskatchewan's missing a couple of key players, and the Ottawa Rough Riders, of course, have been rebuilt almost every week for the last couple of months, and they have some new people in their lineup, including Scott Flagel, who will be key performers, I'm sure, for their team today. We'll talk about the game, we'll meet some of the people involved, and we'll take a look at some highlights in the next half hour as we get set for the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders here at Lansdowne Park. Right now, though, for some pregame thoughts, let's go up to the broadcast booth. John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Okay, Peter, after 4 straight losses, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders have now won 2 in a row, and they're coming off their best game of the season, 48 points against the best team in the league, the Edmonton Eskimos, last week.
You know, John, they really played well against Edmonton. Anytime you beat a team of Edmonton's quality, you're playing well. But, you know, I think Saskatchewan's over the hump now. They had 4 games in 15 days, and they've been playing with so many players hurt this year that point in the season really killed them. Now they're back to more of a normal routine, playing 1 game a week. They're going to be a lot healthier, and they're going to be a lot tougher down the stretch run.
Now, when we look at the Ottawa Rough Riders, they ran into Saskatchewan a couple of weeks ago, at least early in the season, and they were in the midst of a tough schedule at that point. They'd played 4 games in about 11 days, and they gave up a lot of points to the Saskatchewan team. The Rough Riders set a team record in scoring.
Yeah, you know, I think every week's been a tough point in the season for Ottawa this year. I mean, let's face it, they have really struggled. Only 1 win, but, you know, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. You talk to the players, and they say, heck, you know, we're only 6 points behind the Argonauts, and how poorly they played last night against the Calgary Stampeders at home has to give Ottawa a tremendous amount of incentive this afternoon to try and beat the Western Riders and get themselves in the Eastern Conference playoff race.
Ottawa's problem is definitely not at quarterback. They have a couple of pretty good players, Damon Allen for one, who'll start again this afternoon. But as we look at the Saskatchewan story, this becomes a pretty good game, pretty big game for Saskatchewan, because Calgary won yesterday, and now the Stampeders are 2 points in front of Saskatchewan in the race for second in the West.
Well, sure, you know, and at this time of the year, you're probably conceding first place to the Edmonton Eskimos, although the players wouldn't tell you that. So they want to, Saskatchewan has to try and keep pace with Calgary, as you mentioned, 2 points, because you're thinking playoffs and home field advantage for a semifinal, and we're at the point in the 1989 season where we start thinking playoffs, and Saskatchewan's not far from that.
And don't give up on the Ottawa Rough Riders playoff chances yet, because the Toronto Argonauts are giving them a chance every week. There's only 6 points between these two teams, and the way the Argos are going, Ottawa still has a chance.
Sure they do. You know, we mentioned the players feel that they have a chance, and they really do, because quite honestly, last night the Argos looked absolutely abysmal, and I don't know what's going to happen from here with them.
All right, let's send it down to Peter Watts once more. Peter?
Okay, guys, John Gregory has joined us. John, it's colder today than it was here last November for the Grey Cup.
I know, that's what we were just talking about. It's a breezy day, but it's going to be a fine football day, especially for the players. They like it like this.
Guy from the prairie shouldn't be too troubled by a little wind blowing in Ottawa.
This is a normal day for us.
Just another normal day. Tell me about your football team. You're lucky enough to have 2 quarterbacks who can play, and everybody gets into the 1 and 2 controversy, and yet it's a 2-quarterback game, and right now Kent Austin's the hot guy.
Well, we've tried to just play both of them and try to play the correct one at the right time, and you know, switch when we need to, and you know, it's just we're just fortunate to have 2 quarterbacks that we feel are very good, and then we have a 3rd quarterback, Jeff Bentram, sitting in the wings, who I think could come in and play at any time as well.
John, you were talking yesterday about the fact that offensive execution is up. It's one reason why we're seeing so many points across the league, and you were suggesting that the maturity of quarterback all across the league is one of the reasons for that.
Well, most of the quarterbacks have been in the systems, and I think that's the key. When you have quarterbacks that have been around a while, they learn to play the CFL game, and they execute better, and I think that's why the offensive production is up in the league this year.
You were talking about offensive execution. Your team sure did it in the first game against the Ottawa Rough Riders, but this is a little different team. Their offense has matured a little bit. I think defensively they're a much stronger football team than they were at Taylor Field on the 7th of August.
Well, they had a lot of kids that hadn't played much at that time, and I think that they've improved as they've gone along, and they're a much better football team than we played a couple months ago. I think that Steve Goldman and his staff are really doing an excellent job, and I think if everybody's patient here, that they're going to come along and be a very, very fine football team in the years to come.
You had your turn. You know what Steve's going through, don't you?
Well, my first there in Regina, we struggled, and we only won 5 games that year, and we played a lot of close ball games just like they're doing this year, and I think that they have an excellent coaching staff, and they will come along.
They'll look for a good ball game. Good luck to you today.
I think it's going to be an outstanding football game. I know our players are ready to play, and I'm sure Ottawa is looking for an upset, so it should be a great football game.
All right, John, we'll enjoy it with you. Go ahead and go to work here, and good luck this afternoon.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
John Gregory, always a pleasure, the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, this is game 3 of week number 12 in the Canadian Football League. A couple of games in the books already. Let's go have a look at some highlights, and we begin first of all with the Hamilton-Winnipeg game Friday night at Winnipeg Stadium. A cold and windy night in Winnipeg Friday for this clash of the two best teams in the East, and both clubs struggled offensively, although Hamilton's Mike Kerrigan did complete a 26-yard pass and run play for a touchdown to rookie wide receiver Wally Zatilny. The Bombers rallied late in the second quarter, thanks in part to this James West interception return to the Hamilton 1-yard line. Ricky Blake scored the major 2 plays later as the Ticats led it 13-7 at the half. Bombers outscored Hamilton 12-6 in the second half, with Trevor Kennard kicking the game-tying field goal with 3 minutes to play. And all of that set the stage for Winnipeg's second overtime finish in a week. This time, though, the Bombers came up a point short. Paul Osbaldiston was wide on a field goal, but the single point was good enough to give Hamilton the win. 20-19, the final. The Ticats take over top spot in the East and end Winnipeg's unbeaten streak at 4 games. An announced crowd of 35,000 watched as Terrence Jones put Calgary on the scoreboard in the first quarter. Nice sprint out to the left side, great pass, and an equally fine catch by ex-Tulane teammate Mark Zeno. Toronto's only touchdown in the second quarter, Mike Clemens, halfback option, shovels it to Eric Hoskins, and he gets the job finished to tie the game at 7 in the second period. Jones' skills as a runner have really made the option play a big part of the Calgary attack. Andy McVeigh scores here from 4 yards out to put the Stampeders in the lead, and they hold on to win this one 20-13, the final. Second straight victory for Calgary. So here's the standings up to the minute. The Stampeders now alone in second spot pending the outcome of today's games. There's 4 points behind the Edmonton Eskimos. Saskatchewan and British Columbia trailing. The Lions are in Edmonton later on Sunday. That will be a big game at Commonwealth Stadium. In the East Division, it's the Hamilton Ticats alone in top spot. The Toronto Argonauts, as John and Leaf talked about, have now lost 5 in a row. And they're making things still a little bit tempting for the Ottawa Rough Riders, who are 6 points back, who need some wins. But one today can get them right back into the playoff picture in the CFL's East Division. Hard to believe, isn't it, that one win could be enough at this point, but they can build on that. We'll see what happens. We've got about 27 minutes to go until the kickoff at Lansdowne Park, and the CFL Report continues after this. Just over 25 minutes to go till kickoff. You are live in the Saskatchewan Roughrider locker room as the team has come in from the field after pregame warm-ups. And meanwhile, on the Bank Street Bridge, the fans are trickling slowly along Bank Street toward the gates and coming into Lansdowne Park for the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Well, we talked about Kent Austin being the people's choice at Taylor Field in Regina. And Kent Austin will make his 3rd start of the season this afternoon here at Lansdowne Park. He's standing by now with John Wells, and I suspect that they'll want to talk a little bit about that big victory over Edmonton last Sunday.
Rough Rider quarterback Kent Austin got his second start of the season last week. He'll start for the third time this season this afternoon after the Rough Riders knocked off the Edmonton Eskimos in what Coach Gregory described as the best game Saskatchewan played all season. Do you concur?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, it's kind of hard to compare games and say which one was the best, but I guess I would rank up there. But we've had some good games this year.
You have to be patient to be a quarterback in the current Saskatchewan structure with your pal Tom Burgess.
Well, I think it's something that we've both learned to do over the last couple of years. I think we complement each other pretty well, and it's a good situation for us knowing that either one can play and win.
Are you number one this week, or are you number one overall in Saskatchewan right now, as far as you feel?
I don't put much stock into it. I just go out there and then try to play my game, and when I'm called upon, try to help this team win, and let those decisions be up to the coach.
Let's talk about the Ottawa Rough Riders. Saskatchewan had a terrific time against Ottawa last time. What do you expect this afternoon?
I don't expect it to be the same type of game. I think Ottawa is a totally different team than they were early on. I think they're playing a lot better defensively and offensively both, so I expect them to be a little bit more sound defensively than they were against us earlier.
Ken, is there any area of this Ottawa defense you feel you can exploit easily today?
I don't think so. I think we just need to go in the ball game running our full offense and making sure that we execute like we did last week against Edmonton and not try to do too much. The more you try to do, you usually end up confusing yourselves when you do the defense.
All right, thanks very much. Have another good afternoon today. Kent Austin of the Rough Riders. Let's go over to Leif Pedersen. Leif?
Well, there was a big trade in the Canadian Football League this past week. Scott Flagle moving from the Hamilton Tiger Cats over to the Ottawa Rough Riders. And, Scott, your reaction to the trade this late in the season?
Obviously, when it's late in the season, you're always surprised. And, I mean, no one likes to be traded, especially when it's from a 7-4 team to a 1-10. But I don't know, hopefully for me and the team, it'll turn out to be better.
Were you disappointed at leaving a team that's definitely going to be in the playoffs, maybe a Grey Cup contender, to a team that may struggle to make the playoffs?
Yeah, you feel like you're a part of the team, and you're helping out to make the record and to make that push for the playoffs and hopefully, like you say, the Grey Cup and that type of thing. And then when they, tell you in so many words that, you're not wanted or not needed, I mean, sure it hurts.
How about the Ottawa Rough Riders? You just played them back-to-back weeks. You've had a good assessment of them. Do you feel they're on the right track?
Sure they are, and they're on the right track as far as playing well. I mean, I wish they'd had a few more wins, but those games were close games that they lost and stuff. So, if they need one thing, hopefully it's me. And if it turns it around and you can win a few games, there's always a chance to catch Toronto.
Well, I think what they need most of all is a veteran Canadian, and best of luck this afternoon with the new team and in the game against Saskatchewan.
All right, thank you.
All right, Peter.
All right, Leif, Scott Flagle's never missed the playoffs in his CFL career. He'd like to keep that streak going if he can. And there's a youngster who's getting set with his dad and his popcorn and his soft drink, ready to enjoy a little football here at Lansdowne Park. And we're now just over 21 minutes away. It'll kick off time here at Lansdowne Park. If the highlight film for the Ottawa Rough Riders 89 edition was published today, it would probably be titled "So Near and Yet So Far Away." Here's why. Steve Goldman suspected in training camp that life might be difficult in his first season in Ottawa, but the Riders have set new levels for frustration through the first 11 weeks of the season. Game 1 in Winnipeg, for example, the Riders led at 24-17 midway through the fourth quarter, but an interception deep in the Ottawa end of the field led to Winnipeg's game-winning touchdown. 5 days later, in their home opener, the Riders turned the football over 5 times in a loss to Toronto, and the mark now was 0-2. Riders were up 17-15 with 3 minutes to go, only to lose 21-17 on 2 field goals by Lance Chomik. 2 weeks later in Calgary, the Riders, down by 10 with 6 minutes to play, launched a good drive, only to see it snuffed out by this Ken Ford interception return, a return that led to a Calgary field goal. Despite a late touchdown, the Riders lost by 6 and fell to 0-4. In Week 7, Ottawa led at 14-8 in the third quarter in Toronto, and the Riders were on the move once again. Suddenly, though, Ed Barry picked off Tony Kimbrough's pass and returned it 75 yards to the Toronto 5-yard line. That set up another touchdown, and despite outplaying the Argonauts in every aspect of the game, the Riders lost 22-17 and fell to 0-7. 10 days later, at home, this time to the BC Lions, the Riders tied the score at 30 with 9.5 minutes to go, only to find a new way to lose. Keith Gooch recovered an errant snap and lateraled the football to Alondra Johnson, and he returned it 105 yards for a 2-point score. The Lions added a late touchdown and won it 39-30, leaving the Riders at 0-9. They finally got a win in Week 10 against Hamilton, but last Sunday at Ivor Wynne, the nightmare returned. The Riders were down by 7 in the fourth quarter, but were driving. This time, they were done in by a drop pass, a ball that Damon Allen threw almost perfectly, only to see it go off the fingertips of Gerald Alphin.
Who knows what might have been? The point is the Riders were in this one too until late in the ballgame. And the final score of 52-34 didn't reflect how close this contest really was. So close and yet so far away. The lyric will be part of the highlight film in Ottawa this season.
You look at something like that, you wonder if things will ever get better. I can assure you they are getting better. The Rough Riders are a much better football team than they were when training camp opened in Kemptville in mid-June. And right now, Steve Goldman's trying to get his troops ready to play the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. We're just 19 minutes away from kickoff at Lansdowne Park. And we'll be back after this. I don't know if these people paid extra money to get in or not. I hope they've got good seats with lots of leg room. But they're wandering around the sidelines right now, putting on a little bit of entertainment for the fans who are trickling into Lansdowne Park for today's game. Before we go any farther, let's congratulate BC kicker Louis Passaglia, who last week became the all-time leading field goal kicker in the history of the CFL. 467 field goals in his career, 3 ahead of the old mark set by Dave Cutler. Good on you, Louis. What a good job you've done. And Louis, I dare say, will be in action later on Sunday afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as the Lions go against the Edmonton Eskimos to complete Week 12. Kenny Chillibeck standing by now with Eskimo linebacker Larry Ruck. Ken?
Okay, thanks, Peter. Larry, Don Matthews, I remember talking to him a few weeks ago. He said that as far as he's concerned, you're one of the best linebackers in your position in the CFL. That's some pretty high regards from a coach in the league. What do you think about that type of comment?
It is a great comment, of course. I don't look at my play really as being that greatly improved in comparison to the past years, but our style of defense has certainly changed, and now I'm just able to, I think, make use of my instincts a little bit more and play my position with a little more reckless abandon, and things are working out really well for me.
You're about to take on the BC Lions, Matt Dunnigan, the quarterback for that team. What does Matt do that other quarterbacks aren't able to do in this league?
Well, he reads defenses really well, and he takes things that you throw at him, and he seems to be able to make something out of it, and he'll take what you give him. He's certainly become more of a pure passer now than he used to. He doesn't seem as willing to take off the football and run now, but he can still do that too when he has to. And I think in my years playing with Matt, I've learned that he's probably the most competitive football player that I've ever had the opportunity to play with. So, going in and playing against a guy like that, you know that he's going to just put out every single play, and somehow he always manages to be successful in what he tries to do.
Eskimos' defense has given up over 70 points in the last couple of games. The defense that everybody was touting is maybe the best to ever be in this league for the last decade. Is there some concern within the team, do you think?
Well, we're not too worried about it yet, no. We've had a couple of tough ball games against some good ball clubs, and a couple of good, proven offenses, and I think, like I said earlier, I think these teams were taking us out of our aggressive style of defense maybe a little bit more, and then we had a few breakdowns, that are eventually during an 18-game season is going to happen, and I think that's really the story here. Is we've just had a couple of breakdowns, guys that maybe lack of concentration, maybe a little bit that normally wouldn't do that sort of thing, but it's nothing to panic over yet. Still got a long way to go, and I'm sure we'll get those problems solved this week.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. Larry Ruck of the Edmonton Eskimos is getting ready to take on the BC Lions in a couple of hours. I'm Ken Chillibeck in Edmonton. Now back to Ottawa with Peter Watts.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. Linebacking, one of the strengths of the Canadian game. There's some good Canadian linebackers in the lead, and Larry Ruck from the Saskatoon Hilltops has paid his dues, and he has become one of the best at his position. We're about 14 minutes away now from kickoff here as the Saskatchewan Rough Riders get set to tangle with the Ottawa Rough Riders, and a good crowd wandering into the stadium. We'll look for even more as the CFL Report continues. Live from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. Stay with us.
It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter the way you move. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you cut your hair. It's what's inside that counts. Introduce yourself to new Foster's Light. It's what's inside that counts.
Miss Ottawa Rough Rider, Ann Holtz-Petrick, who is the choreographer for the cheerleading team that works the games here each week, is being introduced to the crowd here, and we are now just 12 minutes away from kickoff at Lansdowne Park. Time to get some picks on the games to be played in this final day of week number 12. Let's go to the broadcast booth once again. John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Okay, Peter, we'll set some odds, but I think we should maybe look back to week 11 first to find out how Leif Pedersen did against Marty Adler last week. I think Marty beat you last week.
Yeah. Oh, Marty was 2 for 2. Good for him. I was 1 for 2. What can you say? You know what? I even picked first last week, too. And I've been saying all year long, how come I never get to pick first? So
50% in this business isn't all that bad, though, is it?
It's not bad. I don't think so. Only 2 games, though. Come on. Anyway.
All right, the rest of week 12 is ahead of us this afternoon. Let's set it up for you with Marty Adler. First, the BC Edmonton game at Commonwealth coming up later this afternoon. How do you see it, Marty?
This week, Leif and John, we're at the International Plowing Match in Essex, Ontario, just outside of Windsor. They're expecting 200,000 people from around the world to show up. It's a little muddy, but I want to show you something, the official souvenir. This is the International Plowing Match cow chip, made with the real thing. And people are just eating these things up. It's unbelievable. They expect to sell 50,000 of these. Comes with its very own fly on the cow chip. Now, the first game, British Columbia going into Edmonton. I would hate to be in the spikes of British Columbia this week because Edmonton, after losing to Saskatchewan, will not be a happy group of campers. And you know, too, Edmonton never loses at home. So the spread, a little dirty, Edmonton 6, the over-under 56. Edmonton will cover, and it's going over.
Well, I think the Eskimos are going to be a little bit snarly at Commonwealth this afternoon. You might agree with Marty?
Yeah, you know what? I hate to do it, but I have to agree with Marty. You know, I don't think Edmonton's the kind of team that will lose 2 games in a row, and they are so tough at home against Commonwealth Stadium. BC Lions, on the other hand, John, I mean, I think even though it's, 12th week of the season, it's critical. I mean, they've got 8 points. Saskatchewan has 12. If they win today, Calgary's got 14. I mean, they are in some serious trouble. So I think you're going to see a huge effort from the BC Lions, but I still like Marty's pick of 6 points. I would take Edmonton and give the 6.
So you're agreeing with Marty?
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I've got to start getting logical in my picks. So today it's a logical pick.
All right, our game here at Lansdowne this afternoon, Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Ottawa Roughriders. Marty?
Okay, you guys, I want to rub this one in. Boy, I'd like to send this right into Leaf's face on this one. What did I say about Saskatchewan last week? I said it was a 6-point spread and Saskatchewan would cover. And not only did they cover, they won the darn game. What do you think of that? What do you think of my Kent Austin now, Leafer? Oh, greaseball breath. What did I tell you? In any event, this game, how do you pick a team that is 1-10 against a team that just knocked off the mighty Edmonton Eskimos? You can't. Spread here, Saskatchewan is favored by 6 in Ottawa. It'll be a tough game. Ottawa will play them tough, but Saskatchewan will cover. And the over-under in this game is 54, and I say it's going over.
Now, what's he referring to there?
Hey, he is, holds a grudge. I mean, the guy gets one pick right in the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he's all over me. But
but Marty's out on a limb this week.
Well, I don't know. No. Saskatchewan, look, this is going to be a good game this afternoon. A lot of people say, well, Ottawa's one game, but anytime the 2 teams get together and both called Roughrider, they seem to have some fun here at Lansdowne Park, and I'm going to go out on a limb. Marty likes Saskatchewan for the 2nd week in a row. He's in love with Kent Austin, that's obvious. I'm going to go with the Ottawa Roughriders. Steve Gold, my old pal, they have got some offense going. If the defense can only play a little better, we'll tell you the changes when we come back in a few minutes. But if the defense can play better, Ottawa's got a chance. I'll take the 6 and take the Riders.
The Ottawa Roughriders.
The Eastern Riders.
The Eastern Riders. Yeah. You're just hanging there, weren't you?
Well, yeah.
Hanging.
I'll take the Eastern Riders.
All right, we don't have agreement on this one here, and we'll see what happens this afternoon here at Lansdowne. Peter?
Okay, guys, one pick with the head, one pick with the heart, methinks, but we'll see what happens in the next 2.5 hours. The Saskatchewan Roughriders against the Ottawa Roughriders coming up next from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. Local blackouts in effect in the Ottawa area, so we hope you'll check your local listings. And a reminder, we're back here again next Sunday with the pregame show at 1 o'clock Eastern, followed by the Stampeders and the Ottawa Roughriders from Lansdowne Park. For now, though, sit back, relax, and enjoy Saskatchewan and Ottawa coming up on TSN.